is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
You all ready for this?
This is a sham.
No.
Nope.
Y'all, just stop.
Get real.
Get it. Welcome to DBL. Just telling Al here about some crow knowledge I learned.
That's right.
Really interesting. Fun fact about birds. Welcome to DBL. So demand for new weight loss drugs has skyrocketed. Nearly half of U.S. adults are interested in them, according to a recent poll. But it turns out one thing you may not know: you can't keep losing weight forever on these drugs. So to help us get to the bottom of this and more health headlines, we've got our own Dr. Coley with us. Welcome, Dr. Coley.
Hey, Doc.
Hello.
As always.
So Dr. Coley, talk to us about this so-called Ozempic plateau, which seems like a place in Utah you want to visit. Is it real, and why do people stop losing weight?
You know, it's absolutely real. If you think about how our body is designed, it's actually designed to fight weight loss, right? Because when we're losing weight, our body goes into a catabolic state. It starts going to a stress response. So when we trick the body by giving it Ozempic and essentially sort of tricking our metabolism to get us to lose weight, the metabolism kind of fights back, and after a while you get into this sort of steady state pattern where you end up at your new set point. So I like to say it's sort of like turning your thermostat down. I like to keep mine at 72 because I run a little cold. But if you turn it down to 68 and you start sort of living at 68, that will be your new set point. So you stop losing weight when you get to your Ozempic plateau. And it's a good thing, because imagine what would happen if people kept losing weight on this medication. You would actually start breaking down tissues, get nutritional deficiencies, and really start sort of doing more damage than benefit.
So if you still need to lose more weight, is there anything you could do? Let's say I want to break through this plateau. Do I increase my dose? What do I do here?
Yeah, there's a lot of tricks you can do. So you can increase the dose. So there's only up to a certain dose that has been studied, but a lot of people will call me and say, Dr. Coley, I've stopped losing weight, and they're on a lower dose. Then I say, well, let's just go up to the next dose, knowing that we can push that dose. But if you're already at the highest dose, that's not really much of an option. Now, what you can do is switch to the Tesla of weight loss medications, which is the newer Ozempic.
Excuse me.
Mounjaro, yes.
Whoa, Mounjaro.
Yes, and then there's another new one coming. So the Ozempic is sort of the first generation.
Okay.
It hits one receptor. The second generation one, Mounjaro, hits two different receptors. And then there's actually a third generation one coming that hits three receptors. And so if Ozempic made you lose about 15% on average of your body weight, Mounjaro would be 20, and the third generation would be 25. So a lot of docs are sort of getting people almost there with the first generation and then switching them to the newer and improved version of
little boost.
Jeff, it's like the 7-minute abs of Ozempic.
6 minutes. Remember, you can't do anything in 6 minutes.
Yeah. All right, so Doc, I read that some psychiatrists are prescribing these weight loss drugs to counter side effects of certain antidepressants, like weight gain. What are your thoughts on this? It seems like a lot of medication.
I'm torn on this one, Jeff, and I think it's really complicated. In medicine, we do this all the time. We mix our drugs to counteract the side effects of one drug with another drug. I give a person a statin. It raises their blood sugar a little bit. I give them a medicine to lower the blood sugar. Those are sort of well-established mixes. But when we're talking about psychiatry, it's a really tricky thing to do this for a couple of reasons. One, because we know that Ozempic has been linked to some psychiatric problems, such as suicidal ideation and, depression, feelings like you want to hurt yourself. So if you're treating somebody with an antidepressant and they gain a little weight, and then you're giving them Ozempic, which can actually make the depression problem worse, we don't yet know, that could be counterproductive.
Yeah.
I'm a little confused about the whole thing, because you tell me like vitamins aren't even great for you to take on the daily, but to chase a medicine with another medicine, to chase that medicine, that cannot be good for your body at all. Am I wrong?
Well, if you think about it, what you're sort of trying to get them to is a healthier state, right? We call obesity the first domino, right? If that domino doesn't fall, then the blood pressure domino, the sleep apnea domino, the diabetes, the metabolic syndrome, all the other dominoes don't fall. So sometimes getting them over a hump using a combination of medicines can be helpful. My problem with it is it hasn't been studied.
Yeah.
This is not a population with psychiatric disease that we've been using this medicine in at all. This is considered an off-label use, which we do sometimes. But when you're talking about patients that could have severe psychiatric issues, like severe depression, all it needs is a little bit to push them over the edge. And if you give them something that could push them over the edge, the safety of it does worry me in this particular situation.
No, I get it.
That makes sense, and that was a good question. Doc, I want to switch gears because we covered that story about Brooke Shields, who said that she had a seizure from drinking too much water. And it made me think about that. You remember that story 10 years ago about that radio prank, Hold Your Wee for a Wee, where that woman sadly passed away from drinking too much water? So I thought about that story with Brooke Shields. So is this possible?
Yeah, it's called water poisoning. I saw a case of it in medical school. Actually, it was a young woman who was, trying to do a cleanse, and she just kept drinking. And what you do is you're diluting out the salt in your blood. So when you have too little salt in your blood, all your cells, including your brain cells, swell up, and that can cause seizures. It can cause death. It can cause coma, and it can happen pretty quickly.
How much are we talking here?
Well, we're talking more than like 6 cups an hour. Okay. So we're talking a large amount of water. In general, they say men shouldn't go over about 3.5 liters a day, and women shouldn't generally go over about 2.5 liters a day. Okay. So too little, of course, is bad. But if you're drinking so much that you're diluting out those electrolytes because your kidneys are just losing that water and it takes electrolytes with it, you can actually cause some serious problems.
Wow.
Which is why when people are hiking sometimes, they tell them not to drink just plain water. Right? They say you need to have salt tablets.
Right.
Because when you just keep drinking the plain water, you can give yourself water poisoning or water intoxication.
That's why I don't hike.
You also don't like the outside, right?
No, I don't want to be outside. Anywhere where like a helicopter has to come get me, I don't want to be there.
That's fair.
Yes.
Except Maui, maybe, right?
That's true.
Yeah. All right, DBL Nation, be sure to follow Dr. Coley on social media at PyleColeyMD. Thank you, Dr. Coley. Coming up on DBL, we talk with John Ritter's widow, Amy Yazbek, about carrying out his legacy while sharing important information about the health emergency that took his life. And Barbara, oh yes, Barbara Streisand opens up about the reason she decided not to change her signature nose with plastic surgery. All right, if you guys want to know about the crows, can I tell you? Okay, so crows like walnuts, but they can't crush them. So they drop them, and cars go over them and crush them. But they found, are you listening, Adam? No one's really, Al, are you listening?
Yeah.
Okay.
Crows like cronuts?
So listen, they're making cronut jokes. So they drop the walnuts and cars go over them. But they found it was difficult to then go pick up the walnuts to eat them, right? Because the cars were coming. So they found that the crows learned to drop them in the walkway, what do you call it, the crosswalk? So they drop them over the white and black stripes. The cars would go over them and crush them. The light would turn green. People would walk. They would walk with the people, get the juicy walnut, be okay. What a smart bird!
Crows are incredibly smart.
Crows are incredibly smart.
They remember faces too, so the FBI uses them to identify faces.
It's insane.
they're
And are crows,
super smart.
if you also give crows something, leave them a treat, I believe them or ravens will deliver you something back shiny, like a piece of tin foil, and you'll find it in the same spot. So if you want to have a relationship with your birds, they will exchange gifts, rocks, they'll leave leaves for you to give
I wonder why they
food.
use pigeons rather than crows to deliver messages
I
in like
think
the dark
pigeons
ages.
have a routing system that's memorable.
Probably.
You know what I'm saying? I don't
Right.
get how they teach a pigeon to go from here to there.
Is it like you're just training at like short distances?
Yeah, I
like,
don't know. But how do you say, go to Africa's house? Like, how do you do that? Okay. Well, she doesn't know. Welcome back to DBL. Barbara Streisand revealed that early in her career, she faced scrutiny over her looks. So Barbara's memoir, My Name is Barbara, comes out today. I will be getting it today, and it features a young Barbara in profile from her funny girl days. Now, in the book, she said she was told to get a nose job and cap her teeth in order to be successful in showbiz. Barbara said she always liked that small bump on her nose, and she actually feared that surgery could affect her voice. She wrote, though, that she's still hurt from all the criticism and insults all over her appearance. Barbara also revealed to Gayle King the bold way she got James Brolin's attention at a dinner party. And take a look.
I walked by him, touched his hair, and said, "Who up your hair?" Because that was the truth.
Yes.
And I didn't, what else was I going to say? Hello, my name is Barbara. I mean, what?
Jim, some people could have been turned off by that kind of directness. You were not. That was attractive to you, right?
Very.
Yeah.
And I had been literally, it's a wild word, but I had been celibate for 3 years saying, who needs this?
You're not supposed to tell
For
that.
3 years?
No, I had not had any interest in getting involved in a lousy situation.
He was married twice before.
Yeah.
I was only married once.
After 3 years, that must have been a hell of a night then.
After,
Wild.
What do you think?
Okay, what do we think about Barbara keeping her nose? Famously, Jeff, there's a part of a song where she says, one day a Tony, Tuesday you're top of the bill, so I'm here, Wednesday you're a phony, Thursday you're over the hill. I've kept my clothes, I've kept my space, and I've kept my nose to spite my face. It's hard to do back then when everybody mocked Barbara with the nose.
Yeah, listen, take this for what it is. Everyone got told to change their appearance in some way if you went to Hollywood at any time in your life. I was 22 or 23 when I went to LA. I was in shape. They told me to lose 20 pounds, the modeling agency I went to. They were like, hey, you have to get these drops to make your eyes look bluer. I'm like, what's in those drops? They cut your hair this way, grow this out this way. That's Hollywood.
Yeah.
They tell you what to do. It's not the real world. This isn't Instagram. That didn't exist. It's not like, hey, you're offending me because you're talking about my aesthetic look. They don't care.
Yeah.
You're here to make money. And if you want to work in this agency and you want me to represent you, you do X, Y, and Z. You come back when those things are done and I'll sign you to my roster. That's how things were done.
Right.
So if Barbara wants to say her nose didn't look right, probably she's right.
Right. But how do you think about her saying, you know what? Forget it. I'm not going to change it.
Well, I think if you're extremely talented like that, you start calling your own shots, right? If you're someone like me, you have to play the game.
That's a great point, Jeff. It's like if you think about the extremely talented people that have been able to keep their unique looks. Look at Michael Strahan with his gap, which he ended up trademarking.
Great point.
The unibrow. Anthony Davis, famous world champion power forward for the Lakers, had a unibrow. Used to get made fun of it. Now he trademarked it. I've seen commercials with him on it. There's a weird thing where you kind of have to have the leverage. Obviously, I'm talking about two athletes in that position. So they were coming into Hollywood with some cachet, with a name, with money already. But I think you're right, Jeff. I think these agencies are like, we represent good-looking, blue-eyed guys. So you need to look like that. We don't represent people that look different. And if you think about Danny Trejo, all the actors that kind of stand out are the ones that have, scars. We just lost Michael White from The Wire.
Omar, that's right.
Yes, he had a scar across his face.
Right.
Would anybody say you're ready for Hollywood? And he's one of the best actors of our generation. So I think that people are starting to learn that looking a little different is maybe advantageous.
I do too. I just want to say, coming from nowhere, literally, she had no money, and to stand up to those people and say, this is going to change what is going to make me money, my voice, by changing this, I'm not going to do it. Oh, that's courage, especially in a Jewish way, because people make fun of the Jewish nose.
Right.
That's my bad.
And people want to take some sort of credit for your success, right?
Right.
Hey, I told you to do that, Barbara. You could thank me later.
Right.
Did you sing that song?
Exactly.
I was almost going to swear.
Yeah.
It makes me so mad that Hollywood mentality.
The Babs.
That's right. I love it. He's protecting my Babs. Coming up on DBL, we're talking with John Ritter's widow, Amy Yazbek, about the special connection they had even in the early days of dating, Stay tuned for that.
Penicillin is a common drug that's used a lot in medicine today. The drug was discovered in 1928 and it is still used to fight infections caused by bacteria, like ear infections, skin infections, urinary tract infections, and more. But a significant percentage of patients report that they're allergic to penicillin. But is it a common allergy? To get the facts, we went to Dr. Carla Robinson, family physician, Dr. Rushi Shah, allergist with the Cleveland Clinic, the CDC, and Yale Medicine. According to Yale Medicine, medicine within an hour of taking penicillin, allergic reactions can occur like rash or hives, tightness in the throat, or difficulty breathing. And there are tests you can take to see if you are actually allergic to this antibiotic. When researchers further evaluated patients who reported a penicillin allergy, they found fewer than 1% of the population are actually allergic to penicillin.
In some cases, when you prescribe an antibiotic for a viral infection that actually does not require an antibiotic, sometimes you can get a rash from that.
What we know from our guidelines and our allergy literature is that greater than 90 to 95% of these patients that have a listed allergy, when they come in for evaluation, we find that they can actually tolerate penicillin.
Also, according to the CDC, 80% of patients with a penicillin allergy lose their sensitivity to the drug after 10 years. That's why Dr. Shaw says it's always good to test.
Penicillin is probably one of the most common antibiotics that's used, and it's first-line treatment for a lot of different types of infections.
Though both doctors say it's rare, it's always good to be on the lookout for any side effects of the medications you are taking, and contact your doctor right away if you suspect an adverse reaction. With your Verified Fact Check, I'm Megan Bragg.
Welcome back to DBL. He was one of the greatest physical comedians of his era, and we lost him way too soon. John Ritter passed away in 2003 from an undetected flaw in his aorta, and his widow has spent the last 20 years keeping his memory alive and raising awareness. Earlier, we spoke with Amy Yazbek. Take a look.
Please welcome to the show, Amy Yazbek.
I want to talk about the personal side. When did you know you were in love with John?
Kind of right away, but it just kept getting more and more and more undeniable. You know that feeling?
Yeah.
Where you're just like, haha, that's funny. We have that in common. Oh, that's cute. Haha. And then it was just like, here's a soulmate. And I had him for a long time. We were together for 14 years. And we'd only been married for 4 when he passed away. So,
my heart, I do understand, and I thank you for telling us about that. When you two were dating, did John have any signature moves that worked or didn't work on you?
In bed?
Sure.
Well, Amy, what do you want to share with us today?
You've seen the man fall over a couch and smash a pie in his face? It was like that, but slower and with rhythm.
Yeah.
Get back on the subject.
That was a great description that I'll always think of John now when I rewatch Three's Company. I love that. So let's get into some other stuff. We recently had Henry Winkler on our show, and he said it was a dream come true to play on the Hollywood softball team with John. Was John a competitive person?
John was a baseball fanatic, and he had been a pitcher as a kid, and he was a kid in LA. He was like 10 years old when the Brooklyn Dodgers became the LA Dodgers, and his parents used to host parties for them at his house. So he was competitive, but he had fun, but he always brought his mitt to the game just in case he'd need to call to duty.
You know, we're not only trying to educate the people that might suffer from this, but also the people that live with them and love them. So I'm going to ask you, did you notice any early signs that something was wrong?
Listen, here's the thing. There's no signs, because the thing that usually is the kind of precursor to this dissection is an aneurysm, which, let's say, so your aorta is like the kind of diameter of like a garden hose. So when there's trouble, sometimes a genetic problem or something that makes it unstable, it's made up of 3 layers, but it can have like a bubble in it, like an aneurysm is what it's called. And it can get that little tear. There's a little tear on the inside of it, and then the blood goes into that tear instead of going to your brain and your body and your arms and your legs where it's supposed to go, right? So, but before that feeling of the tear, which is that ripping chest pain, and it could be a lot of different symptoms, the aneurysm that might be growing for years, which John's probably did, has no symptoms. So, and because this thing can be genetic and sneaks up on people like that, you might not know whether even you had it in your family, because somebody might like John and his brother Tom's dad was Tex Ritter, the singing cowboy. America's most beloved cowboy was his nickname, whatever. And he had a chest pain bad while he was bailing one of his band members out of jail in Nashville. And he died on the spot. And they always thought it was a heart attack because they didn't know. Now we know that's pretty much for sure what happened to him, because John's brother Tom had an aneurysm, like I was describing before, in the exact same place that John's was 4 years after John's died. We caught it. He's fixed. He's good. He's fixed. He would like that. His aorta is fixed. But because they knew what to expect. So you guys, if you would do me the great favor of going to johnritterfoundation.org and just really learning about that stuff, you can't, it all makes sense the way we have it laid out, but you just kind of have to know it. You will save lives. It's incredible.
Amy, I love your advocacy. I love what you're doing all these years later. You make it fun to listen to as well. You throw some humor in there, so we really appreciate you. DBL Nation, you can learn more about the John Ritter Foundation for Aortic Health at johnritterfoundation.org. Again, Amy, thank you so much for everything you're doing.
Honestly, thank you. One of the best interviews we've ever had. What a great interview. Thank you.
How kind of you. Thank you.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is running for president as a third-party candidate. His father was a Democratic candidate for president in 1968 and was assassinated during his campaign. And now RFK Jr. says he's facing security threats of his own, including a recent intruder at his home. He wants a Secret Service detail assigned to him and is accusing the Biden administration of breaking decades of precedent by not providing one. Several Verify viewers asked us about that precedent, so let's verify. Do all presidential candidates receive Secret Service protection? Our sources, the Secret Service, the U.S. Code, historical news reports, and polling data. U.S. Code states that the Secret Service should protect, quote, major presidential and vice presidential candidates. Who counts as a major candidate? That's up to the Secretary of Homeland Security, who's supposed to consult with a bipartisan group of 5 members of Congress. In 2017, the Secret Service published some of the factors the Secretary considers in this assessment. For one, they aren't supposed to grant protection more than a year before the general election, unless there are extraordinary circumstances. RFK Jr.'s campaign says there have been exceptions before, but news reports from the last 20 years of elections show the only time someone's been given protection this early was Barack Obama in the spring of 2007. He was in second place at the time for the Democratic nomination, and many people were concerned he was uniquely at risk as the man trying to become America's first black president. A second factor considered: polling. Secret Service guidelines say for a third-party candidate to be considered major, they should poll at 20% or higher for 30 straight days. According to Real Clear Politics, RFK Jr. has been polling at roughly 15% against Trump and Biden, short of the mark. But none of these are hard and fast rules, and exceptions can be made for things like explicit threats. RFK Jr. says such an exception should be made given the intruder. Homeland Security has not responded to our questions. Other high-profile candidates like Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley also don't have details at this time. We can verify, no, not all presidential candidates receive Secret Service protection. With your Verify, I'm Casey Decker.
Viral videos shared on multiple social media platforms accuse Hamas of faking Palestinian casualties. The videos appear to show people moving around underneath white sheets with captions that imply the bodies were staged for the news. But is that really what the videos show? Let's verify. Our sources are the original video posted on YouTube, Invid, and Revi. We did a reverse image search to find the original video on YouTube. It was first published on October 28, 2013, a decade ago. You can tell they're the same video by focusing on the details, like this person's shoes. The original video was posted by an Egyptian newspaper with a caption that explains, when translated, that it shows a group of students protesting at a Cairo university. Reuters and the BBC reported there were weeks of protests at Al-Azhar University in October 2013 after Egyptian President Mohamed Morsi was ousted in a military coup. So, no, this video does not show Hamas faking Palestinian deaths in Gaza during the current Israel-Hamas war. It was recorded nearly 10 years earlier in Egypt. The same video was also used to spread misinformation in 2018 amid border protests in Gaza after the U.S. moved its embassy in Israel to Jerusalem. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
This November, Sandals is giving thanks with an all-inclusive vacation giveaway to Sandals Resorts. Watch DBL every day for a word of the day. Then enter at dailyblastlive.com/sandals for your chance to win a 4-day, 3-night escape for 2 to any Sandals resort of your choice. The winner will be announced on DBL November 22nd. Today's Sandals word of the day is tropical.
Never get the word of the day. Welcome back. We got some great products from our friends at Morning Save. Check them out.
All right, what do you have for us today, Steph?
Hey, Jeff. Hey, DBL Nation. We are so excited to show you the deals today. They are fabulous. So first up, we've got the Colleen Lopez Asymmetric Zip Front Faux Fur Vest. This deal includes one vest available in 4 styles. There's black, cranberry, natural leopard, and deep sea. We've got them available in sizes extra small to 2X. Normally, it is $72. We've got it for just $24.99. That's saving 65%. All right, so let's take a look at this, Jeff. This is the Sharper Image Spa Studio Digital Wi-Fi Bathroom Scale. So this doorbuster deal includes one scale that can monitor changing weight, BMI, body fat, and more. Now, this is going to be really popular, so you guys, I need to tell you, there's a limit of 3 per customer to make sure everyone can get their hands on this deal. Normally, this is $100, but we've got it for just $20, so that's saving 80%. Check out this. This is definitely up my alley. It is the True and Luscious Prep and Prime Duo Set. So this deal includes 1 eye primer and 1 lip or eye prep. Normally, this is $56. However, we've got it for just $15. That's saving you guys 73%. And then this is our last item today. This is Savvy C 1-carat Moissanite pendant necklace in 10-carat solid gold. So this deal includes one necklace. We've got it available in 2 color choices. We've got white gold and we've got yellow gold. Normally, it's $375, but we've got it for $79.99. That's saving 79%, Jeff.
Head on over to morningsave.com to snag these amazing deals at the lowest prices, or you can even scan the QR code on the screen to take you directly to these products on Morning Save's website. Again, Steph, terrific job.
Before we go, a solid gold toilet worth a whopping $6 million went missing from an exhibit in Britain in 2019. It was actually an art installation in a bathroom once used by Winston Churchill. 4 men have now been charged, but unfortunately the golden toilet has not yet been found. Police believe it may have been melted down.
I just don't think they're looking for it anymore.
Yeah, I guess they looted the loo.
Oh, right. And see, I stepped all over your timing on that
No, you
one.
really made it. It wasn't good.
The stuff in the bathroom should have been nicer if you have a gold toilet.
I agree.
It's a standard bathroom.